Hello everyone, this is the CircuitPython Weekly for November 23rd, 2020. It's the time of the week where we get together to talk about all things CircuitPython. I'm Jeff Epler and I'm sponsored by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython. CircuitPython is a version of Python designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. Development of CircuitPython is primarily sponsored by Adafruit, so support us by purchasing hardware from adafruit.com. This meeting is hosted in the Adafruit Discord server. You can join anytime by going to adafru.it/discord. We hold the meeting in the CircuitPython text channel and the CircuitPython voice channel. This meeting typically happens on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, but the date occasionally varies for U.S. holidays, and we expect it to vary during the month of December. We have an online calendar. If you'd like to speak at the meetings, let us know and we will add you to the CircuitPythonistas roll. This will also get you a small number of notifications from Discord during the week, mostly reminders about the meeting. The length of the meeting varies, but it's often from 60 to 90 minutes long. The meeting is recorded and will be posted on YouTube and released on various podcast services. If you find this podcast is not available on your favorite podcast service, let us know. The meeting recording includes the text in the CircuitPython text channel and the audio from the CircuitPython audio channel. This meeting is accompanied by a notes document. If you wish to participate but don't have a mic, or just prefer not to have your voice recorded, you can add your update to the notes doc and we'll read them off. If you can't attend at all, same thing, leave your notes in advance. Otherwise, just put your name in as a placeholder if you're going to speak live. It's helpful if you fill out the full notes too. Anyhow, for those watching after the fact, the document will be updated with time codes so that if you want to watch or listen to just part of the meeting, you can skip to what you're most interested in. This meeting is held in 5 parts. First, community news with links to CircuitPython projects and a preview of the Python on Hardware newsletter. Second, the state of CircuitPython, the libraries, and Blinka. We'll look at numbers that summarize the health of the project and get a high-level summary of recent development and future direction. Third, and the first of 2 round-robin sections, Hug Reports. In Hug Reports, we invite you to highlight positive communications from the awesome folks around us. In the round-robin sections, we'll start with the moderator and continue in alphabetical fashion until everyone has had a chance to speak. If you're lurking, we'll skip over you, and if you have notes, the moderator will read them aloud. And by the way, if you'd enjoy leading Hug Reports or status updates, just let one of us know. We're happy to hand off that part of the activities to someone else. Anyway, fourth is status updates. It's another round-robin, but it's the time for you to let us know what you've been up to since your last meeting, and what you hope to get up to before our next meeting. You can also tell us about unrelated fun stuff, what you're doing as, for most of us, winter approaches to, stay sane. Anyway, quick back and forths are appropriate during status updates, but if there are longer discussions, we need to take them to the 5th and final section, In the Weeds. So if you know you have a topic that's more open-ended, as soon as you know about it, please add it to the end of the In the Weeds section of the notes document and tag it with your name so we'll know who's starting the discussion. We'll cover topics in the weeds in the order they were added to the document, and the person who is raising the issue will get to lead that discussion. And by the way, if you want to participate in the spoken sections, you do need to be a member of the CircuitPythonistas role on Discord. We're happy to add anybody who asks. So just a reminder, I'm going to assume that anyone who has not at least added their name to the notes document is lurking, that is, just listening in but not participating. And with that, I will continue to community news. All right, so one big piece of news that I think a lot of you have heard is that CircuitPython 6.0.0 stable and 6.1.0 beta 1 have both been released. And we've got some links to those blog posts. We also passed a big milestone number in the core development. We have had 2,000 closed pull requests. Pull requests are the way that both the core developers and the community work together to improve CircuitPython, and each one represents, at a minimum, hours and hours of work. So thank you for all the time and effort improving CircuitPython that represents. The full newsletter is going to have a whole lot of MagTag projects, and I wanted to call attention to just a few of those. We're adding support in PyBadger so that you can use the mag tag as a conference badge. Toddbot is working on a mag tag day of the week display for those of us who can't tell Monday from Wednesday. And we've got an inspirational quote e-ink display, and that one's got a blog post and a YouTube. There are actually a lot more MagTag projects that are going to be in the newsletter, but I'm going to skip ahead to news from around the web. Someone put together a Zoom/Microsoft Teams mute button with CircuitPython and a cutie pie, and I don't recognize that website, furcian.com, so that's someone who's new to me. And then a video, which I gather is in Spanish, but the English title is How to Boot into ESP32S2 with Arduino and CircuitPython. And finally, Nathan Dumont shares a bitmap font editor tool, which, like, say you want to add some black and white emojis or something to your CircuitPython project, this looks like a great one. And there is a ton more in the newsletter. The CircuitPython Weekly Newsletter is a community-run newsletter emailed every Tuesday. We've got complete archives at adafruitdaily.com. But when you subscribe, you'll get the latest latest Python on hardware news from around the web, including CircuitPython, Python, and MicroPython developments. If you want to contribute your own news or project, or one that you saw on Twitter, you can edit next week's draft on GitHub and submit a pull request. You can also tag @engineer on Twitter or email anb@adafruit.com. And that concludes community news. Moving on to the state of CircuitPython, libraries, and Blinka, and getting close to the first chance I have to pass this off to somebody else. So overall, we had over 24 pull requests merged, 27 pull requests from 15 authors, and 7 reviewers. I want to switch things around and highlight reviewers first. Every change that we make, both in the core and in the libraries, gets reviewed by someone else. It can range from taking a look at it and saying, oh, this looks good, or oh, there are some things that need to be changed, or putting it on your device and doing some testing. And so these people who do reviews are also critical contributors. And this list also doesn't recognize just everyday people who will comment on a GitHub issue or a GitHub pull request. And those comments are also super important, but we don't have the technology that itemizes those. So anyway, our 7 reviewers were the normal suspects: Katney, Lady Ada, Maker Melissa, myself, Foamy Guy, Brent Aryu, and Tanut. And then our 15 authors, we have some names that I don't recognize or that I see less frequently. We have Kevin Belaski, Enview. We have Bergdahl, who is in here from time to time. Edrig is new to me. SecTouch is new. Slutsky. I feel like I've seen Target 363 before, but thank you to those 15 authors. And now I'm going to pass it to Scott if you're ready to talk about the core.
Sure.
Hello.
Hello. So for the core, the stats we have is we have 6 pull requests merged from 6 different authors. I won't reiterate those names, but thank you to all those authors. We had 2 reviewers. So thank you to our reviewers. Pull request wise, we have 30 open right now, which I think is a first for us. We've had a lot going on. And so anybody who has a pull request open, please double back and check that there's not work waiting for you to do.
Oh, I'm guilty of that every week.
So I think I'll take a look. This week I'm doing odds and ends because I'm only working 3 days. So I'll try to be pretty diligent. And so if I close one of your PRs that's open, don't take it personally. It just means that like it's a longer term thing that we'll make a new PR for later if we want to pick it back up. But I would like to see this number get down. 30 is a lot, and we should be better about it. So expect to see that this week. Issue-wise, I had 2 closed issues by 2 people, 4 open by 4, so we're up 2 as well, for a total of 333 open issues. This is a number that is potentially okay to increase. We try to triage all of those issues, and we do it by assigning milestones. And we have no issues assigned, not assigned a milestone. So it looks like we're caught up for triaging. And then we have 281 long-term open issues. So the bulk of those are either in 6.1 or 6x sorts of things. And then a few 7.0 ones as well. So doing decently well on issues. I think we can expect that number to increase, but on the PR side, we should be better. We actually have 2 pages worth of PRs, and we should only ever have 1 page. I think is a good metric. So yeah, that's it for the core. I guess I should do an overview, but I think the highlights were already covered. 6.0.0 stable is out. So if anybody finds an issue with that, please let us know. And then 6.1.0 beta 1 is out, and that should be much, much better than beta 0, which didn't work well at all. So let us know how those are going. We're rapidly approaching stable on the S2, I think. It's just we have a few random crashes and hangs and stuff that we'll need to figure out. But I think we're on the cusp of getting to a world where the S2 is stable and working well for us. So help us out, find those issues, help us squash it, and we'll be in a good spot.
Thank you, Scott. And with that, I will pass to Kattni to tell us about the libraries. And David,
Thanks,
you're
Jeff.
not muted.
All right, so in terms of the libraries, this covers all Adafruit CircuitPython libraries. So that's every library that begins with Adafruit _CircuitPython_. We had 18 pull requests merged by 8 authors and 6 reviewers. Most of those were either 0 or 1 days old, which is good. It means we're remaining caught up, and we got one that was a little over a week, leaving us with 36 open pull requests. We had 17 issues closed by 8 people and 10 opened by 10 people, leaving us with 233 open issues, 9 of which are good first issues. If you're interested in this information or would like to begin contributing to CircuitPython, consider going to circuitpython.org/contributing. You'll find a list of open pull requests, a list of open issues, and a list of library infrastructure issues. You can go to the issues page and search by label. Good first issue is an excellent label to start with if you are new to CircuitPython or new to contributing in general. And if you're looking for something a little more complicated, consider searching for bug or enhancement. All of these are great ways to get started contributing. If you are new to Git and GitHub, we have a guide on contributing to CircuitPython using Git and GitHub, and we are always available to answer questions. We want you to be able to join us and contribute in whatever way works best for you. You can also go to the pull requests, take a look at the code. You can review it just for syntax, leave a comment, let us know you looked at it. If you have the hardware, give it a test. Just let us know what you did. All types of reviews in that sense are super helpful. And we have a short list this week of updated libraries and no new libraries this week. And that's where we're at with the libraries.
And you corrected a problem where CircuitPython.org wasn't up to date with the latest library information. Is that right?
That's true. It stopped updating in the middle of October, and it was a bit of a beast to sort that out. But we figured it out, got it going, and CircuitPython.org is /contributing and /libraries both stopped updating at the same time. They read from the same file. So that's now fixed. So feel free to check that out now. If you've checked it out between something like October 20th or something to that effect until last Wednesday, you would have seen the same information straight through. And we apologize for that, but we did figure it out and get it sorted out. So that is updating now, and it is now showing the latest information.
Awesome. I'm glad that's fixed. With that, I will pass it on to Melissa to tell us the Blinka stats.
Hello. Blinka is our CircuitPython compatibility layer for Raspberry Pi and other single board computers. And this week we had 3 pull requests merged by 2 authors and 2 reviewers. One author I don't recognize is SecTouch. There are 5 open pull requests currently amongst the different Blinka-related libraries. There were 3 closed issues by 3 people and 1 open by 1 person, leaving a net of 47 open issues. There have been, wow, that's a lot, 5,191 PyPI downloads in the last week, and there are 60 supported boards at the moment.
All right, and I will just circle back. I missed one of the overall stats. We had 22 closed issues by 9 people and 15 open by 4 people overall. So it was a nice decrease in issues, I think, everywhere but the core. So good job, everybody but the core. And with that, we'll move on to Hug Reports. Hug Reports is the moment when we highlight the good stuff that other people in this community and beyond are doing to support one another. So I will show how it goes by starting out, and then we will go in alphabetical order. Jerry is next. So I want to thank the people on this Discord in the Help with 3D Printing channel, where I don't participate a whole lot, but I had questions. And so particular thanks to Sphere in a Box, Reload, and Sartre, who helped me with some problems over the weekend, or I guess it was the end of last week. I also want to thank all the people dropping by this channel with info about ESP32S2 features and bugs. And 3 that I found when looking in my logs were Back7, Ask Patrick W, Microdev, and I know I'm forgetting others. So please don't take that personally, and please accept my group hug to the whole community because you're amazing. And with that, I'll pass it over to Jerry with Katney on deck.
Yeah, I just have a group hug this week.
Awesome.
Nice to be here.
All right, and then after Katney, we will go to some notes that I will read.
All right, so this week I have a hug for Carter for helping me with the Which CircuitPython board is right for you guide. I wrote the bulk of the text, and he went through and made it a lot more readable and easier to skim, which I know a lot of people do, and especially in a guide like this, it will happen. So it was an excellent addition that he did, and I really appreciate that. Hug report to Foamy Guy for all the recent MagTag library updates. My email was just full of notifications, GitHub notifications from him, and all of them were adding like MagTag projects or updating libraries to support MagTag, etc. So thank you very much for that. And a hug report to you, Jeff, for making it possible to run the GitHub Actions job on CircuitPython.org GitHub for testing purposes. It would have been awful to only have it test once a day and then have to wait until the next day for it to test again.
Yes.
So thank you so much for doing that. It made the fix possible, because if we'd had to wait 24 hours between everything, it would have just been terrible. So thank you for that. That's what I got.
All right. Up next is Maker Melissa, but before that, I have notes to read from Kevin Thomas, who has a hug report to Foamy Guy for continuing to work with me on the IoT trivia and giving me advice on the best display panels to make holiday outdoor animation projects, which sounds very fun. I'll have notes from Microdev next, but first we have Maker Melissa. Hello again.
Hello. I just wanted to give a group hug this week.
All right. Scott will be on deck, but now Microdev has a text note group hug to the community. And after Scott is V923Z.
Hello. First, Jeff, a hug for you for all of the reviews and merges last week. Really appreciate waking up to seeing all those get checked in. Hug report to Benny E for the improved Connect logic on the S2. Hug report to Greg Steyert for helping with the IMX RT. We've got some emails going with Greg to help us get the Metro 1011 out the door, which is exciting. And then hug report to Foamy Guy, Carter, Deshipu, and Anecdata for helping folks over the weekend and help with CircuitPython. So thank you all for helping new folks. Really appreciate it.
All right. Zoltan is next, and then we'll go back to the top and catch Brent.
Thanks, Jeff. So first and foremost, I would like to thank you for your generous and ongoing support with testing and GitHub issues. So in the past 2 weeks, I have been heavily testing Microlab and run into a number of GitHub difficulties, and you were always there to help me out. And what really amazes me is the fact that you managed to issue a pull request while discussing something with Katni and at the same time discussing something else with me. This is really amazing. I would also like to thank GitHub user Rahul Moria. I think he's not on CircuitPython or the Discord channel, but I wanted to make his name known. He lent me a helping hand with the scripts, testing scripts. During testing, we found some sort of discrepancy between CircuitPython and MicroPython, and then took the time yesterday night to outline a possible solution for that. So then thanks for that. And finally, I have a group hug. Doesn't matter when and what I ask, there's always someone to give an answer, and it's really great to have such a supportive community. So with that back to you, Jeff.
All right. So after Brent, I will have some notes to read. But Brent, if you're here, it's nice to hear from you.
Here, it's a short week, so I have more time. Everybody who worked on the ESP32 S2 work, big hug to you. I've been using it. It's really good. I'm amazed at how quickly it connects, and it even tells me like when my network isn't found. That's amazing. Maker Melissa for the MagTag library helped me get going really quickly. Melissa also did the Matrix portal library, and this felt like the same thing, which was great when I started using it the first time and was overwhelmed. And that's for the tiny UF2 for MagTag. It's much quicker than flashing a binary blob to the ESP32 S2, and a group hug.
All right, thank you. I have notes from a few people, and then we will go to Dan. Charles Burniford, who is lurking, says group hug and happy Thanksgiving to all. And then C. Grover has a big block here. A hug report to the team and community for the release of 6.0, gradually converting projects and haven't run into any issues. A hug to Sedacious for his encouragement to tackle more complex I2C device drivers. His crop of CircuitPython stemma device libraries served as excellent examples and helped me break through expanding my coding skill set. And finally, a hug report to the team that developed Adafruit CircuitPython Register for working with I2C device communication. It's an amazing tool. I hope to fully understand it someday. And with that, I will hand it over to Dan, and next I have some more notes to read.
Thank you. So I have 2 items. Thanks to Microdev and Scott, who worked on Deep Sleep before I started working on it, and so their work was the basis for what I did, and it saved a lot of time and thought and everything. Thank you. And then thanks to Katni for doing the which board do you want to choose based on various criteria guide, which is really clear and helpful, and I'm looking forward to linking to it many times in the future. Okay, thanks.
All right. I have notes from a few people, and then Higher Effect will get to wrap up this section. So next, David Glad, who is lurking, has notes. He has a hug report for Unexpected Maker for customer support. My Feather S2 arrived DOA, spent a lot of time troubleshooting it, and helped me to reflow it, unfortunately with no success. A new board is on the way. To Scott for accepting yet another PM25 pull request. And a hug report to Blake and Foamy Guy for Blinkus CLI. Too late to help with the 6.0 upgrades, but useful for the future. Next, notes from Dylan, who is text only today. A hug report to R. Hooper for fixing the Adabot report that goes on circuitpython.org/contributing. I'm not sure that's the right name. Thanks to everyone who has been releasing libraries, especially... Oh, it is, says Katni. Hug report to everyone who has been releasing libraries, especially when the Adabot report wasn't working. and finally a group hug. And then I have notes from Foamy Guy, who has a hug report for Blake for making and sharing a CLI utility for interacting with CircuitPython devices, which if you haven't seen about that, definitely go read back on the CircuitPython text channel and find out about it. And a group hug for all. And with that, it is down to you, Hierophect.
Just a group hug for me this week. I had Thanksgiving this week and moved, so I've been a little bit off. So thanks to anyone who has been waiting and is patient about stuff that they're waiting on from me. That's it for me.
All right. In that case, we are ready to move on to status updates. During status updates, we invite you to take a couple of minutes to tell us what you've been up to since the last time we connected and what your goals are for the next week or so. And as always, if you throw in a little something flavorful or if you have some advice to share, this is a good time for it. But longer topics will take two in the weeds. I will kick things off again and we'll go in alphabetical order just like before. So last week, the ESP32S2 dominated my time. Among other things, I worked on I2C and I2S to maximize any acronym confusion. And particularly the fix for the I2C seemed a little dubious. So we've had some reports from people that they're still having problems. Once I get some good information about that and can reproduce it, I'll put it back onto the debugger and work on it this week. I'm seeing things work really well on my MagTag with some temperature sensors. So maybe there are aspects of it that are specific to the I2C board or specific to the ESP32S2 board. I don't know. I'm really depending on the people around me to help me get to the point where I can reproduce it and work on it. But that's definitely something that I will be doing. I'm going to be returning to doing some work for project guides. I think we ended up deciding that I was going to work on something that involves Bluetooth and YouTube and a stationary bike. And then another thing that I have to do is finish a joint project with my wife. It's called Twinkle Twinkle Little Scarf. And we need a little 3D printed electronics and battery holder, and that's all up to me. I didn't let Jerry know that he was on deck, but you're up next, Jerry, and then Katney.
I'm here and ready. Let's see, not a whole lot to report. I fixed a little bug in the R5, not a bug, but a update to the R503 fingerprint sensor. Turns out it's got a different image size than the other sensors. So the program that would save the image to your host computer, if you're on a Raspberry Pi, was saving kind of a weird image because it was getting the size wrong. So I updated that. It's there's a PR out there that when somebody gets around to reviewing it, should hopefully move along. I don't know if anybody has one of those sensors and wants to take a look at it. And otherwise, I've just been tied up with work all week and not enough playtime.
Yeah, sometimes they expect you to do a whole week of work in 3 days, but
yeah,
it doesn't work that way. All right, go ahead, Katney, and then after that I have some notes to read from people.
All right. So last week, a belated hug report to Roy for doing all the Adabot work. We fixed circuitpython.org/contributing and /libraries, which was actually a fix to Adabot. Basically, there needed to be some error checking put in. It was the job itself was failing. And because of the way that circuitpython.org works, it just fetches the latest file that's outputted by Adabot. And so it continues to fetch that same file. So we don't really, there's no errors that are thrown unless you're checking the actions, runs. So it wasn't until we noticed that it hadn't been updating that we figured out we needed to do something about it. And Adabot is kind of built a bit like Venice, where we built it and then we just keep building on top of it. So it's really gnarly code. And so that was a bit of a beast to go through, but thanks to Roy for doing all of that. And thank you again, Jeff, for making it so that we could actually test it and not wait for the cron job to run. published the Which CircuitPython Board is Right for You guide. It is a guide that has pages based on a particular feature. So for example, Bluetooth enabled, Wi-Fi enabled, built-in display, things like that. And then within those pages has all the boards that have that feature, and then a bit about the other features those boards have. And the skimming bit that Carter added is there's a line in bold that basically tells you why you would pick that board. And there's a product link with an image so you know what you're getting into, and you can just click it right then. You know if it's in stock. And if it's not, you can skim down to something else, etc. We get a lot of people asking, hey, I'm new to CircuitPython, where should I start? And picking a board is part of that. And the offering that Adafruit now has is pretty monumental, which makes it really overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking for. So hopefully this guide will help. Had a lot of positive feedback so far. There's also a page on chipsets that explains the difference between the different microcontrollers, which I think will also be really handy because we get questions about that a lot as well. I tested a slideshow library update from FoamyGuy from MagTag. Ran into some issues with that, but there are new commits there since the last time I took a look. Created 4 fritzing objects. I updated the BME 280 guide with the STEMMA QT Rev update, and added a GIF of the MagTag entering the ROM bootloader to the ROM bootloader guide page. There was already one for the Metro ESP32S2, and we added one for MagTag as well. Today so far, added a beginner boards page to the Which CircuitPython Board is Right for You guide, and punted that to Carter to add his final touch. So this week, first thing up is actually to test the latest commits to the slideshow library PR from FoamyGuy. I'm going to be doing a MagTag project, or starting a MagTag project this week, which is going to be a wreath, because we have LED strips that plug into the MagTag real easily. And it's going to be using the LED animations library, as long as everything works. And if it doesn't, we need to fix the library because it should work. And use the buttons to pick different animations, and have the LEDs on the MagTag do the same animations. And I'm thinking I'm going to take it one step further and have each button have a different cute little Christmassy or holiday-ish image on the MagTag display. So that should be fun. To start out by testing the LED animations library and then go from there. I have a half day on Wednesday, and my for fun question mark is attempting to dismantle an unexpected 9-pound frozen turkey. We had groceries ordered, and ordered stuffing to go with the already frozen turkey we have, which is just a turkey breast only. And the person who apparently put everything together screwed up and put a turkey on the order instead of stuffing. So we have an unexpected turkey that, and our oven is not good enough to cook a 9-pound turkey. So the only option is to dismantle it before cooking it. So that should be fun. It's not going to be fun, but it's really
a
the only
learning
option
experience if you do it, I think.
That'll be the extent that I'll admit that, yes, learning experience. Short of that, I have other words that I won't use.
Lots of work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
I mean,
that's
I've
where
only
I'm at.
watched videos of this, and it's a process. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, I'll invite anybody else to top Katney's plans. Maker Melissa is on deck, but now I have notes from Kevin Thomas. Last week, created the Microbit V2 Study Buddy project, which is an electronic educational engagement tool designed to help students learn a new classroom subject with the assistance of a Microbit TED. I will be presenting this project at the Microbit Live virtual conference on Friday, December 4th. The project is freely available on my GitHub repo. Continued to work with FoamyGuy on our IoT Trivia app. Updated the Python for Kids free online Python development course to cover the Microbit V2 when it is released next month. This week, continue to work with FoamyGuy on our IoT Trivia app and continue to build out CircuitPython mini projects. Maker Melissa is up next, and then I have notes from MicroDev.
Oh, you mean up now? Okay.
I'm sorry, yeah, up now.
Okay, last week I fixed an issue with the 1.3-inch display on the Raspberry Pi by rewriting the device tree overlay. I made some improvements to the MagTag library. I tested the web Bluefruit Playground app to find that it had fixed itself, which was nice. I fixed an issue with the BNO 055 not working with web serial. It just ended up being like the case on a function had changed from lowercase to uppercase. I worked on the web serial ESP tool and got it to a point where I'm trying to get it to sync, and it looks close, but I'm not. I have to pull up my CLIA, but right now glitch is down, so I can't really test it. And I updated my existing guides based on feedback I received. This week I am working on debugging the web serial ESP tool to get it to sync, and I'm going to start working on a common portal library that existing portal libraries such as PyPortal and Matrix Portal will build off of in order to make maintaining the libraries easier. And that's it.
All right. I have some notes from MicroDev, and after that I will pass it off to Scott. So MicroDev last week finished a bug in Touch.io, finished implementation of NVM, Frequency.io, and PS2.io, all for the ESP32S2. And also a PR for I2C peripheral support is on its way, and with that merged in, the ESP32S2 port will have the most number of modules supported. I wasn't tracking that number, but wow. All right, Scott is up now, and then back to V923Z.
Hello. I released beta 1 last week, and that involved swapping the website to make its own download URLs and making the files.json smaller. When we replaced 5.31 with 6.0, we basically made the file too large. A GitHub API that we use to update it requires it to be under a megabyte. So I had known this day was coming, and so I added all the data I needed to create the URLs, but I actually did that last week and then removed the URLs from the file. I do need to fix the PR message for the automatic update because it says that all languages are new, which they are not. I have a PR out for speeding up JSON parsing, but it's currently not even running the tests, so I've got to fix the Unix build. But I know folks are eager for that because it's a really good speed up. I did that during my stream last week and got an example from 111 seconds down to 3 seconds. So that's nice and speedy. I have a PR for tweaking when to retry connect as well. Just added another case where instead of failing immediately with the error, we try it again. So this week I'm primarily doing odds and ends and bug hunting on the ESP. One thing that's on my radar is tweaking requests to retry when a read fails after a successful send. I think a lot of people are seeing this like failed to read HTTP response. And I think I could probably make that a little bit more resilient in the request library. So I'll take a look at that. But it's a short week. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving here in the US, so I'm taking Thursday and Friday off and no stream this week as well. So just odds and ends.
Thank you, Scott. I'm guessing that Brent is at the top of the list, but now it's Zoltan.
Thanks, Jeff. So last week I actually forgot to mention that I factored out quite a few of the functions in Microlab, which means that if you just need a Fourier transform or the inverse of a matrix or something like that, then you can grab the code. It's totally independent of CircuitPython or MicroPython. Or anything else. It just needs floating point numbers. You can grab it from there and then compile it into your whatever code you want. I forgot to mention that last week. Beyond that, I wrote and reviewed a number of test scripts and fixed 7 bugs, I think 7 bugs last week in Microlab. This week, I would like to squash 2 more bugs, and then after that, once I am done, would like to see to answering 2 feature requests. One of them concerns the we're creating Boolean arrays, and the other one is about adding infinity and not a number to the microlab class constants. And if time permits, I would like to wrap up the week with shaking up the documentation a bit. And with that, back to you, Jeff.
Thank you. All right. At the top of the list, as predicted, is Brent. After that, I will have notes from several people.
This past week, I was updating some examples. Specifically, I updated Adafruit IO CircuitPython to use requests. So it now works as with ESP32S2 and CPython, and of course ESP32 SPI. And I'm in progress. I'm updating mini MQTT for CPython, ESP32S2, which is like native socket. And then I'm also making sure it works with the existing ESP32 SPI and then the Ethernet module as well. And that's what I'm working on. It's a short week.
Awesome. Belated hug request for or report for doing the Adafruit IO update. That is something I've been looking forward to having in hand, so I'll check on that very soon.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Next, I have notes from C. Grover, and after that, we will go to Dan. So C. Grover writes, as part of the DC motor dynamometer project, developed and tested a CircuitPython driver for my custom NAU 7802 24-bit bridge sensor ADC feather wing. The NAU 7802 wing will be used to measure rotary torque from 2 load cells. And next week, they plan to wrap up the mechanical apparatus for the DC motor tester and work on the brake motor scheme. Incorporate 2 INA 260 breakouts to measure individual motor power characteristics. And upgrade the 5 Trinket M0 based holiday window display control modules from Circuit 4 to 6. Might be time to introduce some fancy animations. Let's see, after Dan, I will have some notes to read, but go ahead, Dan.
Okay, so I've been working pretty much mostly on deep sleep, focused on the ESP32S2, and before the MagTag projects that we want to be really duration, some kind of like sleep for a certain amount of time is what we really are focusing on. So I narrowed down my focus to that. I started with stuff that Scott at MicroDev had done and reworked the API. I did a lot of coding over the past 4 or 5 days, and it's like almost ready to test. Like I need to compile it for one last time and then actually set up a test jig and make sure it's actually with the current monitor, so I can make sure it's actually sleeping. So and then I'll submit a PR with that part and then go back and work on some other things like pin alarms. And I've been doing a lot of work on the API. We did some work on the API beforehand, some discussion. And as I was implementing it, I found some more sort of things to consider, and particularly for pin alarms. And so I have a lot of the code for pin alarms done in terms of the user API, but not the lowest level implementation. And I'll be going back and doing that. Okay.
Okay, next I have notes from several people, but the next other person that you will hear from will be Hierophect. So David writes that he has been testing all of the available MagTag examples, as well as Matrix Portal on 2 32x64 daisy-chained panels. Support for DD/MM, which I think is the European date format, in the moon phase clock for Adafruit Matrix Portal, and a Quarantine e-ink clock for MagTag, which there's a link here. I'll drop that in. Always fun to see David's projects. And David also says, added a hug report for Brent RU for the original PyPortal version. Next, I have notes from Dylan, who is essentially finishing guide on submitting projects to OSHWA via the API, and this week doing a guide on VS Code on the Raspberry Pi, which a lot of people love Visual Studio Code, so fun to see it on that platform. Foamy by the way, Foamy if you do want to do your in the weeds what did I do? Let us know if you're in the weeds, Foamy Guy, or not. So anyway, notes from Foamy Guy say testing out the Blinkus CLI utility for managing devices, adding Linux support, yay, and some Atmel board identifiers. Added text slide support to the slideshow library. Adapted examples for display shapes, display text, and bitmap font to work on MagTag. Final touches on the IoT Trivia app with Unexpected Maker Feather S2 and OLED Featherwing. Next week, add a commit hash flag to the update function in the Blinkus CLI tool, and work on a dashboard for weather and forecast from OpenWeather API for the MagTag. And I will hand it to you, Hierophect, once again to round out the section.
Alrighty, so this past week, my family had an early Thanksgiving, so I will be working all through this week, but I took a couple days off last week to do that. I also moved back out to Western Mass, so but I did do some reviews and some Arduino work, and I'll be continuing to stay in Arduino land for a little while this week as I work on speeding up the Arduino Neo Pixels to use the ESP32 RMT module on both the ESP32 and the ESP32S2, so that the Pixel library works on both of those chipsets. There's been a lot of ESP32S2 stuff coming out, and I'm feeling a little bit behind, so I'll be catching up on a bunch of that this week with new reviews. I'll be working on fixing the ESP32S2 bus pin claiming, which seems to be impacting parts of bus I/O, and completing some of my old PRs. I feel like every time Scott brings up that we are behind on our PRs, I wince a little bit because I know that a lot of them are mine, or at least ones that I have to review. So I'll be revisiting a bunch of those, hopefully getting my pin reset one done, hopefully getting the F1 that I keep talking about and never doing done, probably not getting my SPI one done because that still needs some work. But hopefully reducing that number a little bit before he closes them all, and I have sadness. Fun stuff. I did do last week. I talked with the company Robotis, which is a company that makes robotic motors for robotics projects. They're kind of a smart type of servo, but I ended up talking quite a bit about CircuitPython. I'm not sure when that video is going to be out, but it sounds like probably around January 12th. Yeah, we talk a little bit about robotics and CircuitPython. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll be good, and I didn't mess up. I'll have to see the video. And that's it for me.
Thank you. With that, we are going to move on to the final section of this meeting, In the Weeds. For things that don't fit in the other section and which need longer discussion, we invite anybody who's participating to add their topics to In the Weeds. And then we'll take them in the order, well, we usually take them in the order that they are in the document. But as Foamy Guy isn't here, I will switch to the second topic, which is my own. I wanted to discuss the holiday meeting calendar, and I will PR the results into the meeting repo so that the online calendar is up to date. I think I wrote in the notes my idea, one possibility is normal meetings on the 7th, 14th, and the 21st, and then no meeting Christmas week, which is the week of December 28th. Or it is Christmas on Friday anyway, and then back to normal on Monday, January 4th. And I know that, Scott, you had suggested a slightly different setup if you want to pipe in. It's
so
mostly
what we've
just
done,
to have it settled, right, and get it in the document.
Right. What we've usually done is we've usually done one later in the week, that middle week. But I think because it lines up this way, I think that's fine. I think usually it's that, like, it's 2 weeks kind of gap, where what you're proposing is only one.
The way the holidays usually fall, we typically have a 2-week gap. This time we don't. So I think that just skipping the 28th is an excellent idea.
All right. If nobody else has a different point of view, I will get that PR'd sometime today after the meeting. And in that case, whoops, I forgot to take my time code. Well, we'll call it 4830. In that case, we can go down to Brent for Wi-Fi example naming.
So on Friday, I was updating the CircuitPython library for Adafruit IO, and I noticed that we have a lot of examples and a lot of different interfaces now to connect to the internet. So I've been trying to figure out like what's the best way of organizing it is, and I'm still coming at like a block. The two ideas are we append the interface name to the end of the example, but then in requests and mini MQTT, we have multiple examples. So we'll need multiple examples for multiple interfaces. So would a solution be we have examples and then the interface name and then all the matching examples within there? So like ESP32 SPI, examples Ethernet. I just want some feedback for how people think we should name this so it's intuitive to new users.
So with it appended to the name you currently have in your, that's what's currently in requests, correct? I'm looking at that right now. Okay. And you're questioning whether to do that or to have folders.
Right. Because we're going to have multiple examples, but like one would be CPython. I'm not sure what the design goal for all of these examples is.
I think folderizing it makes the most sense.
Okay.
Just because then you're not looking at if you go to the examples folder into any given library, you're not looking at a bunch of stuff at once. You can click on that folder and then see only what you're looking for.
Does the bundle do reasonable things with folders of examples?
I believe so, yes. I think the examples should still be named very clearly, but like I think folderizing it is fine. We already have folderized folders in other libraries, Scott.
Do we prepend the name of the library to the folder when we bundle it all together?
The folder, I don't believe so.
Because I would worry about having folders of the same name from different libraries in the bundle.
I
don't know if we do because NeoPixel, whenever I search for NeoPixel, it always pops up in multiple locations. There's a few folders with that name.
That is a valid point. So I would definitely prepend the library name to the folder.
Okay.
Because
should we do that in the build or in each directory? Like, should we do it manually or should we have the bundle build do it automatically?
I don't have an answer to how complicated that is.
Yeah.
I think manually is probably fine. I don't think that that's adding a whole lot of work in the end.
I mean, the risk with manual is that you don't do it in some cases.
Well, right, but that's what PR reviews are for. Is to make sure we catch that. I know it may still not happen, and I'm looking at the library bundle right now, or the example bundle right now, and like Adafruit IO, for example, is appended to the two HTTP and MQTT folders, so that's excellent. There's one that's advanced examples that is nothing, needs to be Circuit Playground. So I completely agree that we've got some mixed stuff going on here.
Yeah. Anecdata makes a good point saying advantage of manual is that GitHub viewing will match the downloads.
Agreed. So yeah, I think go that route and append the library name to the folder.
Right. That works for me. Thank you.
Yep.
Okie doke.
Let me say a quick thing that
Please.
I forgot to put on here. Just a heads up, this time of year we do start doing like next year planning. So everybody's just start thinking about what you want to see from CircuitPython in 2021. And I'll do a blog post in the next couple weeks about that. I'll have to look in when I usually get around to it.
All right. Well, unless anybody wants to take up the In the Weeds topic that Foamy Guy was going to raise, I will move on and conclude our meeting today. Going once? Going twice? All right. Well, in that case, that has been the CircuitPython weekly meeting for the 23rd of November, 2020. Thanks everybody who is able to join us, and thanks everybody who is listening in with us after the fact. We hope that if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, that you do it safely and find other ways to connect with the people that you love. We'll see you here a week from now and most of the weeks in December. I know there's stuff that I forget in this section for what I'm going to summarize. Kenny, do you just want to bust in and tell me what I'm missing because my document doesn't have it?
Sure. So this meeting will be featured in the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter. Don't forget to visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe. We already discussed the next meeting will be held at the same time on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. It's held on the Adafruit Discord, which you can join at any time by going to adafru.it/discord. The video of this meeting will be released on YouTube at youtube.com/Adafruit, and the podcast will be available on major podcast services. If you want to support Adafruit and CircuitPython, and those of us that work on CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from adafruit.com. And lastly, to be notified about the meeting and any changes to the time or day, which in December we will be having a change, please request to be added to the CircuitPythonistas role on Discord. You'll receive a few notifications here and there, but it's not commonly used other than to let you know about the meeting.
All right, thanks, Katney. That is really appreciated. I need to get this section into my personal notes that I refer to while we're doing things. All right, thanks, everybody. Enjoy the turkey, and just be safe, and see you in a week.
Thanks, everyone.